All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining us for today's BU Alumni Career Webinar, Expand Your Authority and Leverage with LinkedIn and BU Connects. My name is Michael Willett. I'm a member of the Alumni Career Engagement team in the Office of BU Alumni Relations. Today's event is offered to our 385,000 alumni around the globe, in addition to our current students, of which I think we have quite a few here today. We appreciate everyone joining us from all over the world. Throughout your career, BU is committed to helping you define and achieve your professional goals. We aim to do this by providing everyone with a series of valuable programs, tools, and communities, including our free online community, BU Connects, which I'll be talking about later in the presentation. Before I introduce today's speaker, just a quick housekeeping note. Today's presentation is being recorded, and we will make it available on our Alumni and Friends website, bu.edu/alumni. I'll also follow up with everyone with an email so you can watch this again later. Our speaker today is eager to answer any questions, and you're welcome to submit them through the Q&A box on your Zoom toolbar. Now I'm excited to introduce our speaker, two-time BU alum from the College of Engineering and Metropolitan College, Angela Pitter. Angela is founder and CEO at the digital marketing consultancy Livewire Collaborative. Livewire helps business owners and executives build solutions that help them find their target communities and convert them into customers. Livewire Collaborative offerings include online strategy development and implementation, social media analysis, LinkedIn marketing, Facebook ads, and email marketing. Additionally, Livewire Collaborative specializes in social media training, virtual events, and live streaming production. Angela is a highly sought after speaker who was previously featured on the WCVB TV series Chronicle, and she has personally trained thousands of CEOs, business owners, and consultants worldwide on her signature LinkedIn workshops. Angela, thank you so much for joining us today. You've done several webinars for BU alumni in the past. We're always excited for you to join us. I'm going to hand it off to you, and I'll be back later in the presentation to talk more about BU Connects.
Thank you, Michael. And once again, thank you all for inviting me back. I'm so excited of being here, and no matter where you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, it could be good evening. Happy to be here with my BU alum once again. So let me share my screen here. As Michael just talked, I'm going to focus on the LinkedIn portion of the presentation. So today I'm going to talk about how to expand your authority and leverage with LinkedIn. And if you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn, please do connect with me. Don't just follow me. I know the follow option shows it's the default, but right under that More tab, you can actually see the connection option. Go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn. And again, this is all about networking as well. So go ahead and throw your LinkedIn URL in the chat. And Michael, I want to see where everybody is coming from. So can you share the poll and let everybody respond, not just where they're coming from, but actually, who's here? Are you a student, executive director? There's a lot of options here. If you don't see your option, just throw it in the chat. If there's something else, I just kind of want to get an idea of like who's attending, what you're doing in your professional life or student life. Let's get an idea here. So we got quite a number of participants. So we'll just give the poll another couple of seconds. We don't want to delay the presentation too long. There's a lot of other. I know they have to look at the chat later. See who that is. Okay, so I'm gonna we can stop the poll, we can stop sharing. There's a good number of students. We have some founders in here, sweet. Bunch of marketing professionals, IT is pretty much, finance. Everybody's sort of covered here, which is great because there's something here for everyone here. So let's close this poll here, and I'm going to continue. So just like BU, alumni and students were from all over the world, and LinkedIn is a global platform. And literally just the end of last month, they hit 1 billion members. Now, think about the fact that before COVID, they were probably around 700, teetering there, million members. But, they have definitely gone gangbusters. And you can see here how it sort of breaks out by region, with Asia Pacific leading, followed by Europe, followed by North America. But if you think about it, in addition to how many members, there's also 67 million companies. If you're a nonprofit, there's over 1 million nonprofits, over 100,000 schools, and 61 million people are using LinkedIn to job search weekly. In fact, I believe people are hired off of LinkedIn, like 6 people every second or some crazy number on every minute. Sorry, not every second, every minute on LinkedIn. Now, I want to just kind of throw out a quick PSA, because with 1 billion people, of course, there's going to be some bad actors. I can't tell you how many accounts were hacked this year, especially over the summer. LinkedIn has definitely restructured and restricted a lot and locked things down a lot more, which is good and bad. But what I do want to put out there is make sure you have your 2-factor authentication turned on. If you don't want to get hacked, turn that on. So now the question is, are you on LinkedIn? So we have another quick poll. I just want to know, see if you're on LinkedIn, if you're active on LinkedIn, and sort of what's happening out there. Right, I'm seeing quite a trend there. A trend here. So it's like you're on LinkedIn, like about 70%, but about 25% of you aren't quite active. And there's a few number of you that don't have a LinkedIn account. So what I would say, if hopefully by the end of this presentation, you don't walk, you run and get your LinkedIn profile set up. And if you're not active, I hope by the end of this presentation that you decide to kind of change that around. So I always like to talk about the ABCs of LinkedIn, and that includes the A is around the power attraction, how to set up your profile to sort of attract attention to you, like the honey to the bees, and then how to then build a quality network. So the B is around building that network. And the C we're actually not going to cover, but I have a great resource sheet here that you can look at and think about different ways on how you can collaborate with the content. All right, so there's 5 parts to telling your stories. These are the key branding elements: your photos, your voice, your headline, the feature, the skills. And we're going to cover each of these 5 areas, starting with the photos. And the thing with the photos, and particularly the profile photo first, is these are the stats from LinkedIn. If you have a good profile photo, you're going to get recognized 21 times more views, 36 times more messages, and up to 9 times more connection requests. But the key here is you want to do this. So my first pro tip for you is fill the frame with your face. And I want to think about, if you haven't updated your photo in a while, you actually want to go back in and make sure you keep that photo current. Because if you do actually go from online to taking the conversation offline, you decide you want to have coffee with someone, you want them to be able to recognize you in the coffee shop. Because I've had that experience where I'm like, oh, don't quite look like the photo. So make sure your photo is updated and is a real close shot, right? The other photo you want to think about is this background photo, right? So if you just have this sort of gray greenish box, that means you have not utilized this key real estate area on your profile. I want you to think about this as your virtual background, right? So there's a poll running right now. Do you have a custom background, or do you just got this gray green thing going on here? Because this is the area where you get to first tell your story. You have a lot of, again, you got a lot of real estate here. So you can really go in and really think about, this staying here, that a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So I'm looking at the poll numbers, and it's like 50-50. Some of you, half of you have it, the other half doesn't have it, right? So let's see what that could look like. I wanted to just pull out of my way. All right, so here's a couple of ideas, sample background. So if your company has products, actual products, you can put those products in the background, right? Like this is a great one. What does your sign say about you? And they talk about the different signage that they produce, right? If you're a coach or a consultant, you might want to have, sort of your tagline in here. If you're looking for speaking opportunities, you want to show you in action, speaking in front of a crowd. If you're a student, you might want to just talk about, your school, what are those keywords? You might want to put your email up there, your Instagram, so again, you can just keep it simple as a student. And finally, again, back to a business. If you have, here's another example of a business here. I think it's Allison might be in the crowd here. I don't know if she's on here, but this is her background on LinkedIn. And, she shows all the multiple locations. So again, if you're a global company, this is a way to just kind of get that messaging out, including your tagline in your background. So a couple of quick ideas here. Remember, you could just, have a picture of your audience that catches your team. If you're a student, you're into sports or theater, or you have a club that you're running, you might want to highlight that. If you have products, services, any achievements you could put in there. If you're a nonprofit, you might want to include your mission statement. While we're not typically being promotional, sometimes you do want to promote something. So if you have a signature event or something coming up that you want to talk about, you just launched a book, have all of that as part of your background. And clearly any milestones, if you're celebrating 10 years, your company's been there for 10 years, or you have some milestone in your business that you want to share with everyone, that could be your background. So think about changing your background with the seasons. It's not a set and forget. So, fall, spring, summer, you want to try to change out that background. So there's another element that you may not think about. It's quite underutilized, and that's this voice element. And the idea around the voice element, the reason behind it was because, if you have especially a name that's difficult to pronounce, that you have 10 seconds to sort of share the pronunciation of your name. But what often happens is that people with 10 seconds could do way more than share the pronunciation of their name. So I'm going to show you Ariel Lee. I want you to hear what she says here. Okay. And hopefully you're seeing, Michael, you're seeing Ariel Lee?
I can see the background. I'm not hearing anything though.
Oh, I didn't start that yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here we go.
Hey y'all, it's Ariel Lee, your favorite non-boring financial advisor. Also LinkedIn coaching to try to cut down on some of those cold pitch DMs. Bless their hearts.
So you see, she talks about not the fact that, of course she's Ariel Lee, but she's like not just another boring financial advisor. So you can think about how to add that little bit of extra element, like what is it that you do, maybe who you do it for. But remember, you only have 10 seconds to do that. So let's get back to the slides. Okay, it's not, for whatever reason. Let me stop share altogether and start it. It just kind of went into la la land here. All right, here we go. All right, so the next part is your headline. So that's the little text right under your name. And you want to think about what you can put there to stop the scroll. So what a lot of people actually do is they just have these titles as your headline. So like if I search on the keyword principal, this is what comes up. So I have like principal as a principal at the company, but I also have a principal as I'm the principal of a school, right? So that's why you kind of want to make sure your headline includes a little bit more context in there, right? So you can see this last example, she has a couple more words in here, seeking humans to build with, I don't know, whatever it is. But the problem here is, and this is one of the reasons why I like the close-up on the headshot, because this is it right here, right? When people are searching for you, your photo comes as part of that search. And if you have a full body shot, you can't see yourself, so they can't see you. So you definitely want to make sure you have that close-up headshot. So here's a couple examples of a branded headline. So we got Sheila here. She has the owner of the company. You don't actually really need to put that because you can see here as part of your background there, you also, the company name will show up. So you don't have to use your 220 characters to include that. But she does have the specifics around what she specializes in, knee replacement and geriatric patients. So again, if you have any specialties, you want to include that. We go back to Stacy, who has that sign company, and she talks about, chief image builder, more than signs, combining marketing, design, technology, includes her phone number, includes her email as well, which is good because you don't want people to have to dig for that information if you want them to reach out. Have Eric, who's also an alumni here, BU alumni, and he talks about CSM. Just be careful with these, acronyms. This is Customer Success Manager. If you're in the business, you may recognize it. If you're not, you may not. But trusted advisor, strategic partner, I help SaaS companies grow through sustained value renewals with 105%. So if you have any numbers, that's great to include numbers in your profile. If you're a nonprofit and, if you're focusing on fundraising, you might want to talk about that. Again, numbers, 500 million raised. Again, sometimes keywords, DEI maven, host if you have a podcast. So you can put all of those things in your background. And finally, as a student, you might want to talk about what you're doing, what your major is. Again, if you're a president of any club on the campus, you might want to include that. Any internships that you might want to do, technology innovation scholar, any of those things that kind of can bring attention to you and separate you from the pack. So the question for all of you is, again, I'm going to just do a quick poll here. Do you have a headline, a custom headline? Do you have just the title going on here? What is it that we got? I've got quite a few people on this, almost 180. So that's a good number of folks. But it's kind of almost 50-50. There's 40% have a custom, half of you don't have a custom. So what I'm going to do is talk about what you want to include in there. So in terms of best practices, you want to think about, what is it? Who do you help? Who do you want to target? So again, that example you saw, she put geriatrics in there. But again, what you do, who you help, and outcomes. So you want to kind of figure out how to separate from yourself from the pack. So sometimes you can talk about numbers. Sometimes you can talk about achievements. So what is it that makes you different? You want to share a little bit about that secret sauce. So if we look at this guy, Phil, right? This is, kind of pulling all the pieces together. So this is sort of the before shot of Phil, right? And you can see, the photo is definitely dated. He has no background. He has the title thing going on here. And just with those 3 changes, you can see what a huge difference it is, right? He has, sort of his campus background here. He put up a new photo there. The headline is all up to date, educator, public speaker, sales consultant. Again, he's talking about his secret sauce. What is it? With my proprietary active listening training, he's helping sales teams. So the who, the what, and the specialty, the how, is all incorporated there. So you really want to, I always like to say, get them at hello. This is the top part of your profile. This is why it's so important that you don't overlook this piece, because this is the showstopper right here. Okay, now we're going to go a little bit further down in your profile, and they have what they call the featured section. Now, in the featured section, you can do a couple of things. You could add a post, you can add a newsletter, article, you could link to anything on the web, including like a YouTube, videos, whatever. Adding media means you could upload PDFs, you could upload images, you could upload PowerPoints, anything. Think about this sort of as your, again, your virtual portfolio. So this is a space where you can put all kinds of different content. So here's an example of where, the person, put up a post that was very popular. So if you're posting content on LinkedIn and you're seeing and getting a lot of interaction, if you want to get more eyeballs on it, one thing you can do is kind of pin it into this feature section as well, so people can see it. It pops up at the top of your profile. Or if you have a newsletter, this is a great thing to do. So if you can put your newsletter, if you add that to your profile, then people can literally subscribe. The subscribe button shows up right here. And let me just tell you one thing about the newsletter on LinkedIn. If you decide to launch a newsletter, when you first set it up, it asks, sort of the frequency. Is it going to be a weekly, a monthly, a daily, whatever? And you kind of set the frequency. But what it does, once you launch it the first time, everybody you're connected to, LinkedIn sends a notification. Hey, Charmaine has a newsletter. Do you want to subscribe? And then after that, anybody that either follows you or connects with you also will get that notification. Do you want to subscribe? So if you're already doing a newsletter in via email, I would just say repurpose it here on LinkedIn as well, because you can get a whole nother set of eyeballs in addition to your email. Now, here's again an example where they're linking in their YouTubes. This last part here is the buyer's guide, their document, the home buying process. So again, if you have any literature, any documents you think your audience would love, you could have that there. And if you're a student, you could also put your upload your resume if you want. And if you've been in the news, again, any of those stories, you can link to those as well. Okay. So remember, I talked to you, you're not always going to be promotional, but sometimes you do want to be promotional. So if anybody's out there is like sort of an author, for example, you want to promote your book, you can use that background, right? So you can put the book into the background. You could add the book to your headline. And then you could also, if you have creator mode turned on, you could actually have a link to maybe Amazon to buy the book. And you could also add stories where you've been in the news around the book. So this is an example about how you're using your LinkedIn profile as a landing page, right? So that you can add in the things that the areas, the ideas, the things that you want to really promote and get in front of people. These are ways that you can do that, right? Now, the last piece is skills. And this year, I would say LinkedIn has invested in this area the most. So the way skills are set up on LinkedIn, and you have your top skills, you have your industry, you have tools, technology, interpersonal languages. But the key thing here is that as long as you have at least 5 skills, now you can have up to 50, but as long as you have at least 5 skills, your profile will see 17 times more views. So this is how it used to look. So like the beginning of the year, it would show your top 3 skills. It would automatically order your skills in the terms of the number of endorsements you have. So this 66, 49, 34, all endorsements. So that has now changed. It doesn't automatically order it. So you actually need to go in there and reorder it to make sure you can show, and it's only showing the top 2 skills. The other thing I want to bring your attention to, a lot of people don't pay attention to this demonstrate skills. It's particular if you're a student. You can demonstrate the skills. So they have skills. When you go behind this demonstrate, when you hit that button, there's 2 areas. There's one where you can actually demonstrate the skills. So if you're an HR role, let me think, it's HR, sales, project management, and marketing. So again, also, if you're experienced in these areas, you can actually do videos around demonstrating what you do in those areas. Now, in addition to that, they have what they call assessments. And you can actually, LinkedIn has like assessments built in around typical skills around. You'll find skills like Microsoft Office in there. So like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, where you could go and demonstrate taking the assessment, how good you are on the skill. Adobe's in there, Adobe Suite, AutoCAD. So if you're a graphic designer, all those type of skills are underneath there. If you're a programmer, you'll find stuff like C++, HTML, Python, Ruby on Rails, etc. So you kind of got to go in there and kind of take a look and scroll down and see what skills, and actually it'll give you an idea of areas where you may be proficient in, but it's not a skill on your profile. So then you want to go back and add that in there. The other thing that has changed with skills is now you could sort of aggregate your skills into different areas of your profile. If you go to your profile, you're going to find that skills are way at the bottom. Like you scroll. What I like about this is it brings some of this to the top. So you have this about section. The about section, if you think about that headline where you're talking about who you are, what you do, the secret sauce, that about section is literally thinking, you write it with your audience in mind, right? So if I'm looking for a job, what do those recruiters want to know about me? If I'm looking to sell a product or a service, what does that person want to know about me? But in addition to that, you can add now up to 5 skills. So you could associate 5 of those skills on your profile with this about section. So when people go to your about section, they'll know right away, oh, they're proficient in these areas. Likewise, you could also associate your skills with your experience section. So which is good. So for each of the different roles, you can change up and put in, like, so for example, here I have virtual event strategist, I have video conference and video marketing, Zoom video, right? And then on the LinkedIn training, of course, LinkedIn training, social media content, digital marketing, LinkedIn consultant. So you could sort of associate those skills that are specific to the role in your experience section. So that is the A, the power of attraction. So now we're going to switch gears and talk about building that quality network, right? So you want to think about how you're going to unlock the power of your network on LinkedIn, because this old adage is so very true. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. Right. So the first thing first, I want you to make sure you're connecting with everybody you already know on LinkedIn. So colleagues, business partners, students, I want you to connect with your professors, with people, whoever hired you before, previous managers, business advocates, networking. We're all networking today. So if hopefully you're putting those LinkedIn URLs in the chat. If you haven't, go ahead and put your LinkedIn URL in the chat. And definitely families and friends. Because again, that goes back to the part is like, not necessarily what you know but who you know, right? So you're always going to be not necessarily networking with your direct connections, which is typically the people you know, but also the people that are connected to the people you know. So that's the key there that you want to remember. Now, the other important part that you want to keep in touch with is now BU. As a BU alumni, you should be following the page. Now, this kind of happens automatically. As long as you have BU on your profile for education, it's going to automatically connect you to the BU page. But just in case, make sure you go look and make sure you're following the BU page. Also, I want to make sure that you're checking the bell here. Go to the BU profile and check the bell so that you're also getting all of the content that BU posts in your feed when you check that bell. And by the way, this bell is on everybody's profile. So you can't see your own bell. You can see everybody else's bell, but you can't see your own. And sometimes people in their posts on LinkedIn will say things like, well, if you want to see more about me, click the bell. And that's what they mean, click the bell. All right, so let's talk about how we're going to use this BU alumni page. So you're going to go and click that alumni. When you click that alumni, so even though there's almost 500,000 people, that's a lot of folks following BU, by the way. Not every other university has this kind of following, but we do. So proud to be you. So, but when you click on alumni, you'll see there's about 311 alumni on it. And then there's this box here where it says search alumni by title, keyword, or company. That's what you're going to really focus on. And notice too, I'm just going to point this out, that there's a lot of folks that if you're in Massachusetts, a lot of folks still here in the Massachusetts, greater Boston area. So there's a lot of folks you can connect with locally, right? So one of the things you want to do is in that box, remember the keywords, you want to put title. So imagine I'm an executive director, right? And I need to get in touch with foundations because I'm looking for grants for my nonprofit, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about titles of like, who would those people be on LinkedIn that I could reach out to about their grant. So they might be a program officer. Notice I put it in quotes. They're probably working at a foundation. That's why I have plus foundation, or their title could be director. So I'm going to put, or notice these qualifiers are always capitalized. So if you want to say or and, or you could say not a specific title. So ignore this one, plus foundation. So when you kind of put in this Boolean search here, that's what it's called, right? I go from that 310,000 alumni down to 999 alumni. Still a little too many alumni profiles to be looking at, right? So I kind of want to weed that down a little bit more. So the next step for me now is, and by the way, it's also showing those foundations because I put in foundations as a keyword. So those are coming up now, bubbling up to the top. So what I want to do to further whittle the number down is like, look, I'm in Massachusetts. So let me look at the folks in greater Boston, Massachusetts, like in my neighborhood, right? So I'm going to sort by location. That's the first thing. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm now going to dive into a specific company, right? So I see 5 people are at New England Foundation for the Arts. I I can handle searching 5 people, right? That's an easy task, right? So when you scroll down in the search, it actually shows you who those 5 people are, right? You can see the titles here: Development Director, Chief Operating Officer, Technology Data. So you can figure out based on the title who you may want to reach out to. However, in this case, I actually have someone who's a first connection that I can reach out to, and that's probably where I would start. So if you have a first connection, that's the obvious place to start and look for that person. And, like, hey, I'm looking for the grant. Now you could have the conversation. They may redirect you to one of these other people, or you may ask them for an introduction to one of those people if they're connected as well. So that is how you actually use the BU alumni search to find your people, right? So, because remember, your network is your net worth. So I want you to keep that in mind. So let's see how we're doing on time. Okay, we're a little bit long. So I'm going to recap real quick, and then I'm going to do a really fast demo. So 7 points. Remember the photos, right? There's 2 types of photos. I want you to remember that F3 rule: fill the frame with your face. You can use those visuals, that background, that is your virtual billboard. Make sure you have a compelling headline that's going to stop the stroll. Think about using that voice option as well. You got 10 seconds. The featured section, that's sort of, again, the virtual portfolio. Get those skills, crank those up. So if you want to do those assessments and take it to the next level, go right ahead. And then use that alumni search to find leads, right? So whether you're looking for companies, or you're looking for people, that's the way to go, right? I do have resources on my website. I also have resources. I'm going to drop in a second. I'm going to drop in the chat a Google Doc that has stuff as well. So, but on the website, one of the reasons I want you to go to the website, because I have this checklist here, this ultimate one that has everything under the sun that you need to know about LinkedIn. This LinkedIn profile checklist is sort of an abbreviated version. And if you're a nonprofit, definitely pull down this one. And if you're a student, definitely grab the other one. So that's why I want you to run on over to the website, livewirecollaborative.com/resources for that. And finally, again, if you're not covering content, but if you want to know more about the content, that's another reason to download that resource sheet. The QR code is there, and it talks about, best practices for posting, document sharing, everything you kind of want to know around the content. We don't have time to cover that today, but that's why I have these resource sheets for you today. So are there any burning questions? And I want, Michael, go ahead and launch that last poll about what's that next thing you're going to do in 24 hours. And then I'm going to do a quick demo as well on some of this stuff so that you can see it. So what's the next thing you're going to do? You're going to go update your photo. You're going to add a background. You're going to try out the voice. You're going to get the custom headline, add to the feature section, go and inventory your skills. There's a lot of things. Use that, try out the search function. Make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn too. All right, I see quite a few people going to go in and like the number, I guess the top 3 are adding the background, creating the headline, customizing that headline, and inventorying the skills. Oh, actually, I take that back. The number 1 is everybody's going to go out and try that alumni search. Definitely go in on that. And if you have any questions about that, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn, message me on LinkedIn, and I can definitely help answer any questions on that. So I'm going to end the poll because we're running out of time. And like I said, I want to do a quick demo here. So let me stop this share and then just poll and go over to LinkedIn. So I'm going to switch over to my profile. It's right at the top. It's all about, everything's about the pencil on LinkedIn. So if you want to change out your background, you hit the pencil right here. You can change out your background. If you want to change, oh, by the way, I don't know if you saw that video flashed up. The video is a feature that is no longer, they're actually going to remove the video. So if you do have a video on your profile, it'll get removed by the end of this month. So that's why I didn't talk about it. That is gone. And then if you just click on your photo here, you can go in here and edit your profile photo. Again, if you use this pencil here, you can go in, update your headline as well in there. make sure you're connected to BU. If you scroll down a little bit further, have your feature section. Again, you can just hit that plus sign to add. If you don't see the feature section on your profile, which that could be, is under this add profile section and it's under recommended, right? So you see here it says add feature. That's where that shows up, right? And you can see here, I only talked about like the stuff that's really at the top. But as you can see under additional, all this other stuff is here. So if you're volunteering, you have publications, patents, honors, awards, if you speak multiple languages, make sure you go ahead and fill out all of these sections, even if, and also list it as a skill. So if if you speak Spanish, have Spanish as a skill, in addition to filling out that other section down there. All right. I mentioned creator mode. Creator mode, that link that we saw in Ariel's, I would not turn on creator mode, because what creator mode does, if you look at my profile again, the follow button is what you'll see. I mean, you're seeing my view because I'm logged in, but if you look at another profile, the follow button will be the default option versus the connect button. If you have less than 1,000 connections, I would definitely keep the connect option as the default and not switch to creator mode, because you want to be building relationships with people. When you have that follow option, they can see your content. You don't get to see theirs. And because you don't get to see theirs, you're not able to then comment on their, when they post or stuff like that. So you really want to make sure you're building relationships first on LinkedIn. As you can see, I mentioned it before, you can add your skills here. And this is why I was talking about the skills. You see, I'm scrolling down. I'm not even there yet. Volunteer. Now, so your skills is all the way at the bottom, but this is where you'll see that demonstrate skills when you go there. And then you can see all the different roles you can demonstrate there, through written or video responses. And then below there is where you have all the skill assessments. So go in there, play around with that, and you'll see all those options there. So I think I'm at the end. I kind of went over my time, Michael. If you didn't connect with me, go ahead and connect with me. I'm going to let Michael go ahead and get started and turn things over to him. And I'll put a couple of links in the chat as well.
Thank you, Angela. That was amazing. I've got some work to do on my own LinkedIn profile now. So we have a lot of questions for you, and I'm going to talk about buconnects for just a few minutes, and then we'll get to questions about everything at the end. But I know we've got a lot of interest in the LinkedIn side of things, so we will definitely get to a lot of those questions. So I'm just going to share my screen here. Just give me a second. Okay. All right, hopefully you can see that. So hopefully you see a link and a QR code. If anyone wants to scan with your cell phone, you can scan the QR code. That will take you to buconnect.com. You can always go there after the fact as well. So buconnect is a platform that BU created a few years ago, and it's for alumni, students, and faculty and staff. And it is all about networking for the Terrier community. And we're all about building that Terrier community in a way that it really works for everyone. So this graphic here, you can just see a few of the snapshots. We have over 26,000 members currently, alumni and students from everywhere from 1948 up through students who won't be graduating until 2030. One of the big features of BU Connect is private messaging, and we've had over 35,000 messages sent on the platform. Some people wonder, why do I need another social media platform? And really the answer is you don't. We don't think about BU Connect as social media. BU Connect is a professional networking platform that is really made for BU specifically. So it's all about, like I said, building that community among BU alumni and students. It allows access to anyone who has a BU affiliation. Everything is vetted. So everyone who wants to open an account with BU Connect is vetted. We make sure that you have that that connection. So kind of random people who discover BU Connects can't just open an account. So everyone who's on the platform is really part of the BU community. One difference with LinkedIn, for example, is that there's no first degree, second degree, third degree connections. Once you're on BU Connects, you can see the profiles of everyone, every member on the platform, and you can reach out to anyone on there. So BU Connects is about getting help, giving back, and paying forward. A few key features are the alumni and student directory, direct messaging, and ways to request help, including mentoring. There's groups and networks based on your location, your industry, the major that you studied, and multiple interests. There's a student and alumni business directory and a job and internship board. And I am actually going to, now, since we are light on time, what I'm going to do now is actually give you a little live demo of BU Connects for those of you that are not currently members, or some people that may be members and aren't quite sure what to do with your membership. So let's see. This is once you log into BU Connects. Again, go to buconnects.com to sign in. If you're a BU student or even a relatively recent alum who still has access to to your BU Kerberos account, you can actually log in if you click. There's a BU ID button when you try to log in. If you use your BU credentials, you should be able to log right in. If you don't have that login anymore, you can also log in. You can create an account by email. You can connect through LinkedIn and other ways as well. So once you have opened your account, just a couple quick things to mention is similar to LinkedIn, we've got our profile, edit profile. You want to make sure that you're updating your profile fields and including a summary, information about your job, your industry. You can add in things like your LinkedIn account as well as other social media. Down here is areas that you want to offer help to the community and ways to seek help. So especially if you're a student, you can, or an alum, you can seek help from other people in the community. So make sure you go through these profile fields and update your profile so so people can locate you, and so you'll be able to locate other people as well. One other quick thing is in your settings over here, just make sure in notifications that you have notifications turned on, especially for email. We understand not everyone's going to log into BU Connects on any sort of daily basis, but you don't want to miss messages. If someone sends you a private message, or if you're tagged in a post for, let's say, a group that you're in, or anything like that, you don't want to miss it just because you haven't logged into BU Connects in a while. So make sure you've turned on your notifications here so you don't miss anything. Now just to dive in, and also just to mention, if anyone is accessing BU Connects on a mobile device, it'll look a little bit different. You'll have the mobile environment. In order to get to the main kind of menu, you'll see in the upper left-hand side of your mobile device, you should see a stack of 3 lines, and that's how you access these profile fields. So the main thing that I want to talk about today is utilizing the directory. Before I do that, just to point out, this is the homepage for BU Connects once you've logged in. It does have the kind of the news feed as you would see in a LinkedIn or a Facebook or other media like that. And this is a great way to post about events that are coming up that would be relevant to the BU community. A lot of times staff and faculty will post about things that are going on around campus news, information about alumni, but it's also a way that you can request help or just find out more about what's going on at BU and the community. I'm going to switch over here in the menu to the directory. And this is a very powerful tool here, and similar to how you can have a lot of functionality with the LinkedIn search. There's a lot that you can do here that you might not immediately know about. So in the search bar, you can search by any profile field. And that will search across the entire BU Connect community of 26,000 members. In addition to that, though, if you look here over by the filters, this is a really great way to identify people that you'd be interested in reaching out to ask questions, let's say, to learn more about their experience in a particular industry or company. So for example, in the filters, you can search by, let's say you only want to look for alumni. So in affiliation, I'll check alumni, and location, let's say I only want to find alumni who are in the New York City area, just for example. That will filter down to people that match those fields, but you can go even deeper. There's all of these menus that I won't get into too heavily right now, but a couple things to note is down in the Boston University field, you can search by college, major, degree, year of graduation. Maybe you want to find people who were in your graduating class. You can also search by professional interests. So sometimes people maybe have an interest in an area that isn't exactly what they're working in professionally, but it's still an interest that they have that they would be willing to share more information about themselves. So you can filter that way. You can also filter by work experience. So you can look for specific companies, industry, as well as job function. And so again, that will filter all of these results. You'll see, just taking this as an example, you can see some of these badges, and this is a good thing to look for. People, when they've set up their profiles, if they've indicated that they're willing to help or willing to mentor, that will pop up with different badges here. And there's certain ways to earn badges through taking different actions on BU Connects. So willing to mentor, really, these are good indications that these are people that want to give back. They want to answer questions. They want to engage with the community. We also have a profile, a badge for people that have updated their profile, for example, relatively recently. So let me see. I'm going to reset this and say I'm going to pull up someone. I'm gonna look for Angela here. 1 second. So let's say through all of my searching on BU Connects, I found Angela's profile. I'm going to look at her profile here on BU Connects, read everything that she's written here. Angela obviously has a great profile with lots of information. There's a couple ways that I could reach out to Angela or other people on the platform. So the simplest way is this big red button here that says message. Right here, I can write a direct message to anyone on the platform and send that. You can also include attachments, like occasionally someone might include a resume or cover letter for someone to check on. I wouldn't necessarily start that way. It's best to get a short message going before you ask someone to immediately look at your resume, for example. A great additional feature for messaging is over here in the willing to help. These are areas that people have checked off that they are interested in helping and giving back to the community. So, for example, I can see that Angela listed industry-specific questions, one-time career conversations, introduction to connections, open doors at workplace. So let's say I have an industry-specific question, but I'm not sure exactly how to start that conversation. Maybe you don't have a ton of experience with this sort of networking. So what we have here, I'm going to click request help, and from the drop down, I'll click industry specific questions. We've actually populated these messages with some resources and some sample language that you can use to kind of get that conversation started, just so you're getting off on the right foot here. So you don't have to use any of these, but this is a good way to see a simple message to get a conversation started. You can fill in your correct information here and just delete everything else and send it, and be on your way, and hopefully start up a conversation with an alum or student. Let's see. So I'm gonna stop that. I know we've got a ton of questions coming in, so I'm actually going to keep this brief. We have, in the past, we've done longer webinars just about BU Connect. So when I reach out after this with the recording, I'll send a link to one of those past webinars for anyone who's interested in learning more. But just briefly, a couple last things. We run some mentoring programs on BU Connect. You can also look for people that have indicated they're interested in being a mentor, reach out to them directly, start a conversation, and look into mentoring options, as well as some of our more directed mentorship programs, which we have in colleges such as College of Communication, College of Engineering. We have a first generation student and alumni mentorship program that is coming back this spring. So a lot of great things there. Down here in groups and networks, I'm not going to get too in depth here, but we've got over 50 groups that you can join. You can filter them by different categories. So let's say, going back to regional, let's say in US alumni networks, I want to find a group that's related to some of our major alumni areas. So, New York City, LA, Boston, of course. If you click these, you can click join. You'll see a different kind of news feed here. Look at members, have conversations, find other people that match your region. We also do a lot of events, so it's good to join these regional groups. But there's also groups for industry, academics, schools and colleges, as well as international cities and countries as well. Let's see. One last thing is the BU Businesses and Services Directory for alumni or students who own a business or service. You can list it here. You can post about it, let people know about it. If anyone's looking to support the Terrier community, this is a great way to see businesses that are owned by BU alumni and students and support them. So check that out. And if you have a business, you can add it here. I think, Angela, I believe your business is on here as well.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna stop that share, and why don't we go to some questions in our last few minutes?
Yeah, I want to address one thing. I answered a lot of the pretty much I answered all the questions in the Q&A that were posted, but there's in the chat the questions around connecting with people and what's the best way to do that. So one thing I glossed over, I didn't even talk about, is that if you have a free membership account on LinkedIn, they've changed the number of connection requests you can make if you include a note, right? So a lot of times I prefer to include a note when I'm reaching out to someone, connecting to them for the first time. But if you have a free membership, they're locking that down. Don't ask me why. I think this is one of the dumbest ideas, but they're locking it down. It could be anywhere from 5 to 20 a month. And that's connection requests with a note. So when you're connecting with someone you already know, don't add a note. You already know them, just hit connect and that's it, just leave it. But again, if you're reaching out for the first time, if you're a student and you want to learn more about a company and you're reaching out. So the thing is, when you're reaching out with someone you don't know, don't pitch them. Don't say I'm looking for an internship. Don't do any of that, or pitch your service or any of that, because they would automatically, and I think that's why one of the reasons LinkedIn may be locking down the number of notes that you can add, because people are just spamming. I mean, I get pitch requests at least 5 a day that I just delete. So what you want to say instead is, I saw that you're working in an area that I'm interested in. How did you get started? So make it about the person, like make it so that they can then want to interact with you, or you can say something, I saw some particular content on or you wrote something that I really, engaged with, thought was interesting. So kind of make it about them. And, and so keep it really simple. And then if they respond to you, then you can sort of that's sort of the green light to now have more of a deeper conversation. Maybe then you might want to ask, do you mind, if I can take 10 minutes of your time to get more information? Or if they're local, do you mind if we can either do a real coffee or virtual coffee? So just be aware of, not intruding on people too much initially. So kind of soft pedal your way in. Let me see. There's
Good,
something.
good advice. Yeah, someone, I believe you might have answered this with someone else, but there is a question about what are your thoughts on the open to work graphic on your photo if you're unemployed?
Oh, I am not a fan of it. However, that said, LinkedIn says that recruiters pick up on that. So it is a signal to recruiters. So again, depending on who how do I say this? Who's most likely to reach out to you? So if you're finding, if as a student, it'll probably be in a recruiter. If you're a high level or mid-level manager, that might not be the person who'd be likely to reach out to you. It might be some other level within the organization. So you got to think about, well, who's the person? Like if recruiters are really the people that are likely to reach out to you, then put the open to work on. If it's not, then I wouldn't put it on. And there's also the other one is I'm hiring. So definitely if you're hiring, definitely put that on your profile as well.
Great. I want to point out Deb in the chat says she's made a couple great connections using buconnects, good conversation and networking. So check it out.
Yeah. And Deb has a great profile. So go check out her profile. She has a great background and her headline is right on. So she's a great example of using LinkedIn really well.
There's just last question. I think that someone says, Heidi says, I own a staffing firm and typically reach out to people with the open to work badge. So it's good to know.
Exactly. So yes. So again, staffing first, recruiters, those are the folks that are going to be looking for that. That's definitely a key indicator. They're going to zero in on that. So definitely do that. Right.
Yeah. Well, we are coming up on our, yeah. We're coming up on.
If you haven't connected with me, we are wrapping this up. So go ahead and do that.
So yeah, thank you, Angela, so much for joining us for this presentation today. This was so informative. Like I said, I definitely have to go back and make some updates on my own profile. I think people have gotten tons of insights for LinkedIn, and hopefully you all learned a little bit more about buconnects. There's much more to it. If anyone has any questions, you can reach out to me directly. I'll be following up with everyone afterwards by email with some resources and information. So I want to thank everyone who joined us today on Zoom. Take a few minutes, create or update your profile on buconnects, make those updates on LinkedIn, and continue building your professional network with the Terrier community. Finally, I want to say a special thank you to those of you who have made a donation in support of the university and our students. It is so appreciated. So thank you again. Keep an eye out on the alumni events calendar and our monthly career newsletter, The Edge, for news about upcoming events and career resources. I also want to invite everyone to join us tomorrow for our final career webinar of the year. It's called Awkward to Awesome, Boost Productivity, Diversity, and Innovation with Cultural Intelligence. That is tomorrow at noon Eastern time, and you can find that listed in the BU alumni events calendar, bu.edu/alumni, click on events, you'll be able to see that. So thanks everyone for your time today. Have a great day or night, wherever in the world you may be, and hopefully we will see you again soon. Thank you.
And thank you again for having me.
Thanks, Angela.